any old new business?
Nothing under this heading.
Alrighty, continuing with the meeting, we have administrator's report, Dr. Huss.
Thank you. Good evening, President Reese. As you know, there were a large number of attendees at our last meeting who participated in public comment. So that didn't happen yet. The majority, if not all, of these comments revolved in some way around the New Jersey State Learning Standards for Health and Physical Education and their application in our local curriculum. While we customarily do not respond to public comment or engage in conversation at that particular time, I would like to clarify and correct some misinformation and inaccuracies that were conveyed through some of those public comments. To begin, several members of the public requested that the district put back or reinstate portions of the curriculum that have been removed. To clarify, no components of Millstone's existing health and physical education curriculum have been removed. In fact, at least 2 recently graduated students commented on how they appreciated the thoroughness of the health education they received while here in Millstone, primarily while in 8th grade. This same education, which was praised, and all of its components, is still being delivered in our middle school. References to curriculum being removed were likely references to elements of the updated New Jersey State Learning Standards that have been designated in Millstone as at-home learning activities. These activities, which are being misrepresented as removed, will be taught through a collaboration with parents as their child's primary educator. This decision was deliberately made based on multiple parent input sessions, which were held in the spring of 2022 with Millstone's parents. These parent input sessions were encouraged by the Department of Ed. Notably, on April 14, 2022, the Acting Commissioner of Education wrote to all New Jersey school districts, and I quote, "This broadcast memo reiterates the intent and spirit of the New Jersey State Learning Standards for Comprehensive Health and Phys Ed. The discretion of local education agencies to select and adopt curriculum aligned to the New Jersey State Learning Standards without the need for review or approval by the Department of Ed. The importance of parental input into the child's education, the importance of LEA's consultation with educators, families, and other members of the school community in selecting and adopting curriculum." Furthermore, the Acting Commissioner of Education stated in this said memo, "The New Jersey Department of Ed does not review, approve, or actively endorse instructional materials such as sample lesson plans, textbook software, or video in any content area. Generally speaking, the state does not mandate curriculum." Finally, the Acting Commissioner of Education wrote, "All locally adopted instructional materials should be aligned to the district curriculum and developed and selected through meaningful and ongoing consultation with the school community, including parents. Therefore, any insinuations, accusations, or suggestions that our administrators acted in an unscrupulous manner while developing our local health and physical education curriculum is erroneous and misinformed. Our administrators followed the guidance provided by the state, engaged with members of this community, and designed a methodology to deliver the New Jersey State Learning Standards for Comprehensive Health and Phys Ed in a way that incorporated our stakeholders' feedback and suggestions. Additionally, several members of the public shared their opinion that parents are not capable of teaching their own children this sensitive material. I would ask these individuals to reconsider such a position, as comments of this nature underestimate the intelligence of the parents in our community and dismisses their role as their child's primary educator. Furthermore, beginning on March 13, 2020, the state permitted school districts to deliver all curriculum as remote at-home learning activities, and some districts did this for well over a full school year. How is it possible that parents were considered responsible and capable partners of the schools and recognized as primary educators for their children at that time, but not now and not for these topics? Additionally, it is important to address the public comments that suggest that our delivery of the phys ed and health curriculum is a disservice to students who are at risk for child abuse. These comments may come from a lack of understanding of Millstone schools and the educational experience we provide our students. Age-appropriate child abuse awareness and prevention education is woven into lessons throughout multiple curricular areas at appropriate and opportune times. Specific child abuse awareness and prevention lessons are also made available to all students in 3rd grade through a partnership with trained professionals who facilitate these lessons. In addition, all of our schools have certified school counselors on staff who work with students, families, and their colleagues to ensure that every student is closely monitored, cared for, and protected. Finally, there were several public comments that insinuated Millstone schools are bigoted or discriminatory because of their decision to partner with parents to teach selected health lessons. These comments are also inaccurate. Our administrators and staff are committed to being equitable, inclusive, and welcoming of all students. We believe, however, that lessons taught in context with appropriate background and frame of reference are far more meaningful, enduring, and impactful for students than one-and-done standalone lessons. Standalone lessons designed simply to meet state mandate, delivered in isolation and without context, are ineffective, if not counterproductive altogether. Our schools and our staff are focused on creating a sustained building-wide climate and culture that lives and breathes acceptance and inclusion. This, we believe, far exceeds the impacts of any standalone lesson or any document that could be produced just for the sake of compliance. In closing, I would be remiss if I did not address the misinformation, inaccuracies, or one-sided perspectives presented during public comment at our last Board of Ed meeting. Let me be clear. This district and the administrators and the staff who work here have no interest in partisan politics or in promoting any type of agenda. Our commitment is to work in partnership with our families to deliver a world-class education using pedagogy and methodology that promote appropriate, meaningful, and enduring learning experiences. I encourage everyone here in attendance and everyone in the general public to become familiar with the long thought-out collaboration, thoughtfulness, and effort that was put and that will continue to be put into designing our local health and physical education curriculum. Furthermore, I encourage everyone interested in this matter to reach out and engage in meaningful conversations with district administrators, including me, regarding the development, design, and delivery of curriculum. And now there are several orders of business that must be attended to this evening.
That's it for this public comments.
Vote for that
Under operations.
Alrighty, so continuing on with the meeting, we will now begin our public comments portion of the meeting. Any participant that goes to the podium must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of his or her name, place of residence, and group affiliation. Each statement made by the participant shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question the board members. The presiding officer may interrupt or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, irrelevant. Request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers to remove a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progression of the meeting, and call for a recess or adjournment to another time when lack of public decorum interferes with orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action, and to waive these rules when necessary for protection of privacy or the efficient administration of the board's business. And we're going to begin public comment. I don't want to repeat of last week. I'd like everyone to be respectful to one another. There'll be no heckling. There'll be no booing. If anybody is planning on heckling or booing, please leave now. I'd like to keep this respectful to all. Whether you agree or disagree with what's being spoken about or what they're saying, we're going to be respectful of one another. Does anyone at this time like to speak?
Hello. Here we go. Ashley Dillon, 10 Fitzpatrick Run. I just want to say thank you to law enforcement for being here tonight. As the last meeting, we were aggressively gestured at. I want to say thanks to Dr. Huss for clarifying everything, as a lot of the parents here tonight are concerned with the sexual education curriculum that tries to be passed down. I also wanted to know if you had a speech if it went differently. I want clarification from you, Bernie, on kindergarten enrichment. Is that something that you're going to be willing to include as free kindergarten? And if not, why has it not been talked about, as the numbers are clearly rising? I'd also like to know if I can obtain the HVAC proposal for $87,000 that you're asking the taxpayers to fund. Hopefully you can just give me this information without an Oprah request, as many of these people don't know what an Oprah request is. And I'm tired of doing it. I also would like the Board of Education's escrow fund account, the one that you claim does not exist, that you only gave me 3 months for. And now I actually would like the maintenance fund account, because I wasn't aware that there were two for all of 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023 up until today's date. I also wanted to know how many Millstone Township buses are there in total. I don't know about any of my other neighbors, but I see GST everywhere. I don't see Millstone Township. There's maybe 10 that I can say I know of. Why do we need to purchase 3 to 4 more buses? That's $450,000 to $600,000 of tax-paying money that you're asking for. At this point, wouldn't it be better to just outsource to GST completely? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else like to speak this evening?
Hi, Kathy Lugo. I'd like to say a few things relevant to the last meetings that took place in February.
Can you state your address for the record?
112 Bear Road. I'd like to commend, first of all of the board members for showing such composure in class, as many got up here to this podium and showed such disrespect at the last meeting. The bullying by speakers that attended and had the nerve to undermine our board members as they ultimately decide what is best for our students at their discretion. They spoke for many parents of children in our district who are opposed to the sexual education program. And like Mr. Huss explained the whole situation, that's where we're at. We're all here as parents, grandparents, etc., mostly. And have to come to a common ground. We have to come to a common ground at some point, and have to have discussions and voice our opinions, whichever side you're on. The political groups that have been invited here by a particular person that's here tonight, you can stand up, are causing yet more divide. This is what at least one person who spoke at the last meeting is about. Please go to sunlightpolicynewjersey.org. The person, Mr. Goatsman, who spoke, is quoted in the article speaks for itself. There's no place here for such hate and to be funded by groups that are being paid to come bully and threaten lawsuits to our board members. We as parents need to let our board members hear our concerns and make decisions based on parent involvement and concerns, not to put it in the hands of paid actors. Board members, please don't be bullied and intimidated by a paid activist group. There's no place for this. We need to focus on what's really important, such as the social emotional health of our children after COVID and our test scores throughout this time of, children falling behind. Thank you, Mr. Huss, for your eloquent speech. And explaining to some that have no clue what's going on in our school system. Let's keep Millstone a great place to live and learn. Thank you all to everybody that came tonight.
Good evening, Bernard and Greenbrier. I fully agree with the last person that spoke that we have to find the middle ground, we have to find a common ground. Everybody here is here because we care about our children. This Board of Education cares about our children. The community at large does. We are living in unprecedented times. Nobody can deny the fact that child suicides are on the rise. Nobody can deny the fact that sexual violence is on the rise. Nobody can deny the fact that the children are exposed to content in the internet that as parents, as hard as we try, we're not going to be able to catch it all. We have, as a community, for one of the first times in our lives, an opportunity to give our children tools that they've never had before. Us as parents, we can talk to our children about sexual violence. We can talk to them about define interpersonal and sexual violence and describe the impact on sexual health, sexual assault, sexual harassment, incest, rape, domestic coercion. We can talk to them about that at home, but we don't know what the children are already passing around in their school, in each school. Each school is a mini cultural, is a mini community. And when things start to go around the schools, as parents at home, we don't find out. We're the last ones to find out. 1 in 4 girls are sexually abused. 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused. 80% of the sexual abuse cases are not reported. So that means out of that 20% that is reported, only a very minimal percentage of those cases are actually go to prosecution, and there is some type of measures taken to stop a sexual abuser. So what we have to do is, for a lot of us, we can talk to our children about rape or about sexual abuse or who to talk to, but 91% of sexual abuse cases are in the home or from a close family member. That is an astonishing number. So if you think about it, you are expecting on a lot of these topics that are for at-home teaching to be taught by the head predators, or the brother of the predator, or the sister of the predator. And those are the things that make it extremely, extremely difficult for us as a community to protect our children. If 1 in 4 girls are sexually abused, do we really think that we have none in Millstone? Do we really think that teaching a child to say, somebody is touching me in my penis or my vagina is going to sexualize the child? Or is the pedophile sexualizing the child? Or the person that's grooming them from Instagram or from Discord or wherever it is? Ask yourself those questions. And if you,
I'm sorry, your time is up.
just one more sentence. If sexual abuse is not stopped in the infancy, when it starts, it continues and it causes more and more damage.
Thank you. Your comment. Anybody else like to speak tonight? Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? Oh, someone's coming, I'm sorry.
Hello, Avery Mandeville, 910 Greenleaf Drive.
What city?
Red Bank. I'm speaking on behalf of the LGBTQ youth who are receiving the message that who they are is so unacceptable and shameful that their identities may not be discussed in schools by their educators. Their bodies are so shameful that the anatomical names of their body parts may not be spoken. I want to reiterate that you students are so loved and supported by so many people, by a number that far outweighs anyone who is trying to disregard your existence or dim your light. Children deserve to have safe spaces to learn and be themselves, because unfortunately for many, their home cannot be that space. I'm urging the board to honor the right of these children to an in-school education that empowers them with the information and knowledge that they deserve. As we know, parents have the right to opt their children out if they personally and individually disagree with the curriculum. Nobody is saying that parents shouldn't have a say in what their child learns. What some of us are saying is that by putting the responsibility upon the parents to be the sole educators of complex and nuanced sex education, it's unnecessary and illogical. There is no accountability to confirm that the students receive this crucial information from their parents at home. Dr. Huss had brought up that the parents were unfortunately designated teachers during COVID because there was no other choice. In 2023, now that remote learning is thankfully in the past, trained professionals should be delivering this information. I am grateful that I went to a school with teachers so that my mother wasn't the one to teach me about chemistry, algebra, geography, or sex education. Thank you.
Shouldn't we be from this township if we're speaking?
No.
Then what's the point?
Public is a public forum, anyone can be from anywhere. It's not our rules. It's not what
We
we're
pay
being
taxes.
told. That's what the department, with the Board of Education, that's what the boards, any member of any community can come and
It's a
speak.
waste of time.
Please.
Good evening, everyone. Carmina Ramos, 166 Millstone Road. That was a perfect, how can someone that doesn't pay any taxes here have even a say? At the end of the day, our taxes are being raised. Our kids are the one that's basically at risk of whatever it is that is being taught or taught. So why do they have a say? Right now? I don't understand. Bernie said that they're nickel and diming, $6,000 worth of clocks, $300,000 to just pick up mulch. That's harming our kids at the end of the day. That's crazy. And our taxes keep going up. Where's our money going to? Everything. I feel like all this is being inflated. These proposals that's going out there, it's not benefiting us. And we don't have a say, and we're the one paying taxes? That just makes no sense. Then what's the point? I mean, our taxes are being raised. We have no say. We get people just coming here to speak their mind when at the end of the day, their kids are not even attending the schools here. So what's going on? Come on now, we need some sense to put into this. It makes no sense at all. And we're wasting our time because we care. And we're here for our kids. They have no voice right now. So we're here to represent. And they're telling us that we can't teach our kids at home anything that's sexual, but then we got credited, like Dr. Haas said, when we were actually doing virtual learning, we were praised, what a good job we did. So then why is that credit taken away from us now? We deserve a say. We pay taxes and it's being increased all the time. It's not fair and it's not right. Especially people that don't belong here. They shouldn't be here. If your ID does not say Millstone, you should be out the door.
My name is Castian, and I use he, him pronouns. My address is 4 Alexander Drive in Allentown. Education should be about long term, not just getting them through middle school or high school or elementary school. In 20 years, I won't remember the alliteration or ironies that were stated in To Kill a Mockingbird, but I will remember how to be safe when dealing with strangers, or what to do if I'm in a dangerous situation. Teaching kids to be safe is more important than knowing what part of speech haphazardly is. 4 previous Millstone Middle School attendants said that they were not taught about sexual assault or what to do in a dangerous situation and how to get out. But every year they're asked and taught what a noun is. Parents aren't capable to teach these topics. That does not mean that we are calling them unintelligent or saying that they're not educated. Parents, you can't rely on parents to teach this because they just don't know or understand enough about the ways of teaching it. The curriculum that's being brought up is called at-home learning. My mother is wonderful, and she's been on this planet for a while and has experienced a lot. But she can't teach me what a derivative is, or how to go from a point on a graph to slope-intercept form. That's not because she isn't smart, it's because she simply doesn't know enough about the topic to teach it. That's why I wake up and go to school every day. My mother could teach me the basics, like stay away from strangers. If someone grabs you, kick them and scream. She can teach me what homosexual means, but that's where it ends, because she isn't qualified to teach that. I realized I was pansexual through trial and error. If a first grader is given an algebra problem to solve it, they can keep guessing random answers and eventually they would be right through trial and error. I was taught what pansexual means. If I was taught what pansexual means, I would know, hey, that's what I am, that's what I relate to. If a child is taught how to solve an algebraic equation, they could solve it with ease. I learned about different LGBTQ plus terms from my friends and the internet because my parents didn't teach me them, not because they didn't want me to know, but they're proud and love me no matter what. But I was never told these things because it simply didn't register to them. That was a thing they would have to teach their child. You can't rely on parents to teach these things. To the point that was just said, I don't pay taxes for this school. I don't pay taxes for the school that I currently attend. My parents do, but they aren't the ones standing up here speaking. I am. Does that mean that if I don't pay the taxes, I don't get a say in what my education is? Because I should have a say in what happens in my school, but I still don't pay the taxes. That's why people are here who don't pay taxes in this town or who don't attend this school, because they are fighting for something that they believe and something that should be enforced for children who can't come up here and stand on what they believe. I'm not a paid actor and I'm not being forced to stand up here and talk. I wish I was, because I want to be an actor. That's what I would like to do with my life. But I am transgender, and so I have to.
Thank you for your comment. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, Rachel Blansburg, 20 Van High Strat. Hi everyone, thank you all for being here today to support the children of Millstone. I'd like to start off by saying that I was a recent attendee of the Millstone School District, having just graduated from the middle school in 2020. I'm forever grateful for the education that I received. Yet, I cannot begin to express how disappointed I am with the recent news out of the district. The other day, I made the mistake of going down the rabbit hole of Millstone Parent Facebook to gather information for my talking points today. The things that I read were absolutely horrifying. Parents decrying that Millstone teachers are sexualizing and grooming their children was just the beginning of the onslaught of lies that people had concocted and shared. I lost a lot of sleep that night. I was horrified that the people who said that are my very own neighbors. The teachers who they accused of being perverts are some of the most wonderful people I've ever met, those who have built me into the strong, resilient person I am today. I really cannot believe that I have to stand up here in 2023 to convince people that being gay is not a choice, but here I go. To those of you on Facebook losing your mind that our teachers are pushing your children to be gay, I leave you with this. People will be themselves when you stop punching them for it. Before the 20th century, left-handedness was considered inferior, wicked, and satanic. Lefty children were beaten by religious leaders and forced to write with their right hands in school. But as the stigmas faded, the number of people openly identifying as left-handed sextupled from 2% to 12%, where it's leveled out now. So stop asking yourself why so many young people are suddenly identifying as queer, and start asking yourself how many of our parents and grandparents lived their entire lives in secrecy. Instead of using the Bible to support teaching your children intolerance and bigotry, perhaps consider to love thy neighbor as thyself. And now that we're talking statistics, let me share with you the scariest one of them all. The Trevor Project's 2022 National Survey found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide last year. Millstone, your silence speaks volumes to our school's most vulnerable students. You are reinforcing that there's something inherently wrong with students for being who they are. And if you think that Millstone children are immune from these statistics, take it from someone who's walked these halls just a few years ago, they absolutely are not. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Julia. I'm a Millstone resident my whole life, 11 Whispering Street.
Just pick the microphone up, please.
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm a graduate of all the Millstone schools, and I'm currently attending an MCBSD honors school. In 2021 alone, 10,359 situations of human trafficking were reported to the U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline. Those reports involve 16,554 individual victims. The Northeast Shore of America had the highest concentration of reports, with a large surge spanning from Massachusetts to Maryland. In New Jersey alone, there were 63,058 reports of domestic violence reported by the police in 2020. Children were actively involved or present in 14,930 of those cases. About 1 in every 6 women has been a victim of an attempted or completed rape. 1/3 of those cases happened in ages 11 through 17. Many cases result in pregnancy. The proposals of the cut of curriculum wishes to take out certain lessons on identifying dangerous sexual situations, how to remove yourself from those situations, and the meaning and circumstances of consent. Education on sexual harassment and sexual assault may also be cut. Human bodies are constantly active. The bodies of children are, especially because of growth. That change doesn't stop or get better when kids are unaware of it. The curriculum is designed to teach kids what's going on, to get rid of their confusion or fear. And as much as it may be hard to accept, kids are often scared to tell their parents about what's going on, especially since the cut almost demonizes the idea of thinking about your body. We live in the age of the internet, so when kids need answers out of curiosity, fear, or uncomfort, it's easy to look things up. And as we know, random internet articles aren't the best source of information and can lead to them finding things you really don't want them to. Keeping kids ignorant is not going to keep them perfect and pure. It's just going to make them look for answers in untrustworthy sources, which is why teaching accurate information is so needed. One other thing that is proposed to be cut: lessons on how to show respect and kindness to all sorts of different people. Different people exist and you can't change that. So it's a lesson to kids to not hate what they don't know. It's teaching kids not to hate. And believe me, malice kills. You may disagree with or argue with other people, but why are you allowing your kids to hate? All I ask is that you listen to what we have to say. Don't immediately wall yourself off due to any pre-existing political or religious beliefs. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but please consider the safety of your child in real-world situations. The sources of my statistics are PolarisProject.org, NJ.gov, state police reports, and NSBRC.org. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diana Alvarado. I live on 7 Wagner Farm here in Millstone. And I don't know what's going on here, but I'm also a parent and a teacher, and I'm going to tell you that we do not teach hate. We teach kids all the time to love and respect each other. And whether you call it a vagina or a penis, it doesn't matter. All I have to say is, this is my private area, don't touch it. No one is teaching hate. I just want the right to teach my kids when it's appropriate when to speak about sexual topics. My 5th grader is supposed to learn about masturbation in 5th grade. He asked me the other day when we called my sister-in-law Regina instead of Regina. Someone accidentally called her that. He's like, Mom, why is that funny? And I explained to him in 5th grade what a vagina was. You think I'm going to talk to him about masturbation? It's my choice. No one is teaching anyone to hate. You do you, we'll do us. All I'm saying is give me the respect as a parent to teach my kid when it's appropriate. My pediatrician always told me, you talk to them when it becomes appropriate, when it's relevant. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elshani, 16 Scotto.
Speak by the microphone, please.
Hi, I'm Elshani, 16 Scotto Farm Lane. I have put both of my children through the Millstone Township School District, and I absolutely respect the person who spoke last. I absolutely respect your choice to teach your kids whenever appropriate, and that's why the state mandate allows you to opt out of the sexual curriculum in the school. And every single one of the people here, we are all here because we care about our children and we are proactive. Every single one of us here can teach our own children about sex ed or whatever else we choose to in our own homes. The purpose of government, the purpose of community, is to be a safety net for those most vulnerable in our community who do not have those resources at home, who do not have the parents here on a Monday night. That is why it is a state mandate. And for those of us in Millstone who are also worried about our taxes, we are risking adding a whole bunch of taxes by losing a whole bunch of state aid by not following the mandate. Can we respect those speaking at the podium? We respected you when you were up here. No one spoke. At least afford us the same courtesy. It is very disrespectful. I have with young children. That's it. You're worried about our taxes going up in this town? We are risking legal fees for defending what we're doing. We're risking losing a ton of state aid and all of our taxes going up by doing what we're doing. And we're risking the education of those most vulnerable in our community. That is the purpose of government. We are not each in our own house governing ourselves. We have chosen to be a part of the government to protect those most vulnerable. Thank you.
Here we go.
Hi, Gabrielle Biello, with Walcott Court. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, I sat in this very room and heard so many brilliant people talk about the importance of this curriculum. It filled my heart with so much happiness and hope for the future. But there were also people who came up here and genuinely broke my heart. I heard a woman say we should celebrate love, and that love is great. Right now, we are not asking the school to love us. We are asking the school to educate and protect us. She said that we should not include this curriculum because there's no reason to. She said she has a gay friend and that he is very successful in the company he works for. So while I'm happy for that gay guy she knows, his success has no bearing on whether parents should be able to decide whether we are allowed to exist without censorship. I'm a queer woman. I have a 4.0 GPA. I have leadership in multiple clubs within school and am president of a world-class robotics team. And I'll be attending NYU in the fall for political science. I'm proud of who I am, but that does not mean I have not faced internal and external barriers. Being a queer woman has been my flaw, as I've seen myself. And I have never felt like I could mess up and ruin my childhood because I had to prove to myself and others in this community that worried and huddled that I might expose their kids to who I am. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. Although my peers were kind and polite, I need to look at you all and tell you that you failed me. You let me down. When I went to high school, I came out and I was constantly harassed. People would take pictures of me and send them to their friends and write slurs on them because I was a joke. Me existing was a joke. And when the principal found out, the first thing she said to me when I told her was, must be the freshmen. The freshmen always do this type of stuff. It definitely isn't our older students. That doesn't happen here. But it shouldn't happen because these kids don't know what they're walking into because they don't have the education they should have going into high school. No one should have to have gone through what I went through that year, and I hate having to come up here and relive it with you guys. And I also want to address the COVID thing. COVID learning was not great. I did not get the best education I could have, and I think a lot of you in the audience could agree. I know a lot of you went against trying to learn at home and you wanted to get back in schools as fast as possible. And because at-home learning wasn't working for you and it wasn't working for your kids, and so obviously you don't care enough about these issues to teach them at home, and I want that to be addressed because it's important that they do learn them at some age. And I sat this morning with my AP government teacher, and I was telling him about all this. And we came to the realization, the same way that all of you know, that change is hard. Changing things is really hard. And he looked at me and said, I'm sorry, but things like this usually don't change until something that
is fatal, usually happens, something that is a tragedy. And I'll say this bluntly, I really wish that you guys wouldn't wait to change this until a student takes their own life. And thank you so much for your time, and I need you to really consider putting this in the curriculum for me and people like me. Thank you for your time.
My name is Natalie Biello. I'm 8 Walcott Court. Throughout history, there's always been people and communities who find a way, a legal loophole to exclude or hurt or simply just not provide equal opportunities for every member of the community. There was a time not that long ago when white people didn't want to drink out of water fountains with black people, and white people were afraid of what their children might be exposed to if black people were allowed to go to schools. So they used laws to offer subpar opportunities to children. Is that who we are? Do you stand behind removing curriculum because a few members of the community have a personal or moral objection to it? Every child in this district, except for those whose parents object to the curriculum, deserve a New Jersey quality education taught by teachers in a classroom, as long as the school is open. And I hear everybody hollering about parents' rights on our town Facebook pages, but I was listening to all those parents yelling really loudly that when the school was shut down, they were not able to teach their children. They were not qualified. They were not prepared to do it. Then there's the parents' rights. Like people like me, I trust my teachers. I trust the teachers in this district to know their students. I believe in science and health education and curriculum created by experts. We're here for our parental right, to have our children taught New Jersey standards, not the standards of a few people who happened to fill out a survey last year. We will be sued in this district if we let a few parents determine the curriculum for our entire district. We'll be sued if we go against the Department of Education and insist on opting the entire district out of a state-mandated curriculum when they've very recently expressly told us in an advisory opinion that it's not allowed to do that. I can't be sure which side will win in all of these lawsuits, but I can be sure that we're going to waste a lot of valuable money in court on this. Every parent has the right to remove their own kid if they personally object to this curriculum. So there's no need to humiliate our town and waste our taxpayer dollars and eventually risk our state funding defending the rights of a few parents to determine curriculum for the entire district when their only qualification was they have personal opinions about it and they showed up last year and took a survey. This is not about sex. This is about health education. This is about science and accepting all children. We have no business hanging those inclusion posters at the front door of every school when we've made it our policy to exclude curriculum that includes and accepts all students. Some people have the luxury of pointing fingers, but unfortunately, you Board of Ed members are the only ones who can decide if every kid in this district gets an equal protection and an equal education. You must act. You must vote. Your silence tells these children that some of them are not worthy of the same education and protection as the rest.
Hello, my name is Joseph Castaldo. I live at 13 Beacon Hill, Millstone Township. Just want to start off.
Could you pick the mic up, please? Thank you.
All right, this is my first board meeting. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I felt compelled. I just want to commend Dr. Huss for his opening statements, naming parents as the primary educators. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the coming year, but I really felt the need to correct one statement I heard tonight, which was very misleading. I am a devout Catholic, and I do read the Bible. And I do not use the Bible to spread bigotry and hatred. It's the exact opposite. If you've read it, the two main commandments in the Bible is love God and love your neighbor. Most with everybody in the school, even our guests from outside of town. When I educate my children at home, that's what I teach them. I do not want to leave my education up to the politicians in Trenton. Yes. With God, everything is possible, and that's including educating my children.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Chris Gillespie, 11 Steeplechase Road, Millstone Township. Just like the gentleman before me, I had no plans on speaking tonight at all, but I'm kind of fired up here. Number one, I don't like the government in my business, and I don't like the schools in my private business, okay? You guys are put in place to make sure they're taught science, math, LA, whatever else it is. You're not here to teach my kid about sex or whatever else. And I respect all gay people, all lesbians, all of that. It's fine. I have a gay brother. I don't care. It's all good. Everybody loves each other. But when it comes to teaching my kids, it's my responsibility. It's not somebody who I don't know. Okay? And the lady before said something about a couple people. No, this is the whole community. I don't know. This is a Republican stronghold. It's going to maintain and stay that way. Biden's going to be gone, and so is Bill Murphy. So stand by your values, stand by your politics, and don't let the fool take over. I'm sorry.
Anyone else?
Christina Burritos, 15E Pine Branch Drive, Millstone Township. So I was the mom that spoke about love, and I was also the mom that said my best friend and my daughter are both gay. That's my business. I discuss with my daughter, I encourage her, I bring her up, and I get it, other kids aren't as lucky, but it was my job, to teach my kid what's important in life my way. I understand other kids aren't as lucky, but that is not for my kid in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade to come home confused with pronouns or sexual identity. What is the age of innocence? Because I just moved into a town, by the way, that's a lot of Millstone residents that were raised here, born and raised here, they're all thriving. They're super successful. They didn't have this. Were there one or two that might have had issues here? They moved into the city, into the East Village. My daughter already told Mom, I'm moving back to Brooklyn. I said, you do you, baby, I got you. But to discredit that I want my kid in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, my granddaughter, my kids are gone. My granddaughter to just be a child, that's terrifying. That she has to be confused with all this other information. Do you know that we are below 50% in math and English? 50%. Is anybody suing Millstone? Because we're not doing much better. Is there a lawsuit for that? Or how about across the country? 12% of adolescents are on antidepressants, SSRIs. Most of you don't even know the long-term effects of that, right? But this is what we're doing. We are literally encouraging our kids to be more confused, more lost, more broken. So yes, I will speak of love, and I will speak it louder than anybody will speak of hate. My best friend is CEO. He didn't have any of this growing up. We all had our hiccups. He came out. His parents are super religious Christian Orthodox, accepted him and loved him. He could walk into any room and bring everybody to hug him. But he is not, or has never, and will never promote any of this. I said this about during the BLM. You know, where is all the money? Where is all the support? And why are we threatened to be sued for something that we don't approve of?
Yeah.
What country do we live in? Because my son served in this country as a Marine. And he served for freedom. He did. You could look at that clock all the time because you're watching him more with us than. I'm asking, what did my son serve for? What did other military families sacrifice their children for our freedoms? Where are they tonight?
Where are they? And why isn't our voice being heard?
Yes.
Why did I have to send my daughter to Florida for grad school? Because she didn't want to get something inoculated in her body that had no scientific basis, right? So where is America? Thank you.
This evening,
One more.
Where is my time? Can I see it anywhere?
no,
Where my minutes
it's
is?
on my phone.
Good evening. My name is Tasman Weisherber. I live in Hightstown. I work at Rutgers University, and I've been in the field of sex ed for close to a decade. I currently provide training to educators.
We need your street address, please.
Okay, I live on Monmouth Street,
Okay, number?
289.
Thank you.
I currently provide training to educators across the country, but have been focused recently on helping New Jersey school districts adjust to the new New Jersey student learning standards. This includes training educators how to implement the new standards and providing presentations for the community on the content and rationale for those standards. So I thought I would address some misconceptions tonight. We need to protect our students. One of the many reasons I knew from a young age that I wanted to get into this field was because I saw firsthand the impacts that occur as a direct result of a lack of comprehensive health education. I saw loved ones become teen parents. My best friend struggled for years and pretend to be straight because they were already getting bullied by people who assumed that they were gay. And I can't tell you how many people I know who have been victims of some form of sexual assault. That includes several people I know who are survivors of sexual abuse as kids. Every one of them was abused by a family member, including one who was prostituted by his own mother for drug money right here in Monmouth County. I can't even begin to describe the despair on their faces when they heard that these standards meant to prevent children from being groomed and abused or provide them with resources and help if they are supposed to be taught by the very people who may be abusing them. Education is how we protect our students. It is clear that by being here tonight, you all care deeply about these children and want to protect them. After all, that is supposed to be the point of trying to remove these standards. I ask you to think about the children outside of your own family, since not all families are created equal. If these standards are taught at home, think about the child who gets their period and thinks they're dying because their parent didn't inform them. Think about the child whose single mom works 3 jobs so their family can have food on the table and doesn't have the time to provide all of this extra education. Think about the child who is being molested by their father, who won't be told that it's not okay. Parents will always be a child's first sex educator. That is always going to be the case. Unfortunately, parents don't teach their children this information. Polls consistently show that. And when they do, it's not complete. If this district keeps certain standards taught at home only, you can be certain that many children won't receive this life-saving information that the school district has the duty to provide. Education is how we protect our students. But if you don't want your children learning these standards, you have that parental right. But by removing these two at home, you are removing the rights of the parents who want their children to learn this in schools by trained professionals. By the way, politicians did not create these standards. They were created by sex education experts like myself.
Thank you. Your time is up.
My name is Cole Zuccaro. I live at 14 McCarter Avenue in Fairhaven. I do want to add the disclaimer that I was not paid to come here today. I would make a joke about getting that information from you so I could get my gas money reimbursed since I'm not from Millstone, but it doesn't feel like we're in a laughing mood today. I'm not here to tell you what you should do or to tell you how to educate your children. I know that's not my place. I'm here because I heard about the controversy here in town and I wanted to come and listen for myself. There's a lovely poster about listening and courage over there. And what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of disagreement in this room. What concerns me is I heard some really strongly worded and encouraging messages from Dr. Haas up front about inclusivity. I believe you made a comment about the importance of these lessons not being taken out of context and not being standalone. If we're leaving this education in the hands of each individual family, it doesn't feel like that's rooted in a community and collective context that's not being integrated into other learning. I'm really encouraged to see how many parents are here tonight. You're lucky to have a district with so many parents who are so engaged in their children's care. And the parents that are here that are showing up for these meetings probably are perfectly capable of taking the time to educate their kids too. But there's a lot of parents that aren't here tonight and probably aren't quite as engaged. And I guess I ask how those children are going to get this information, how this commitment to inclusivity is going to come into practice in your school if some children are learning different information from others and some children are not learning at home at all. The last thing I want to point out, I'm not an expert on sexual education. I'm not going to comment on that topic. Queer and transgender identities are not inherently sexual. Gender identity is different than sexual orientation. Trans children are not any more sexual than other children are. It sounds like there's some confusion about that, and I encourage you to keep that in mind as well when you think about ensuring that all of your children in your school district are learning to love and accept one another. Consistency in that information is important. There's a lot of disagreement in this room. It makes me concerned for the safety of your trans students if some children are being taught hate at home and some children are not learning. I'm not accusing anyone here of teaching hate. I hear a lot of people thinking that every word coming out of my mouth is about me telling you about whether or not you're capable of educating your children. That's not what I'm saying. You're here, you're engaged. A lot of parents can't be or aren't. Please think about your commitment to inclusivity. To inclusivity not out of context as a standalone, inclusivity as something that is embedded in everything you do. How can you embed inclusivity for queer and transgender children if it's not being spoken about here?
Thank you.
Can I speak still?
I just wanted to go to Zoom first, give them a chance, okay? And then you'll be next, okay? Cynthia, iPhone?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Cynthia Bailey, 3 Sugarloaf Hill, Millstone Township. I'm a resident of town, and I do pay taxes in town. I have a bunch of things I know about work, so I'm gonna be really quick and just touch on stuff. First of all, to the people that said that you should not speak here if you do not live here, I used to kind of agree with that until you all went to Middletown and Colston and other people and all those meetings to speak when we were doing the testing and you were upset with that. So if you guys can go there, you can come here, and that is how the rules are written, not by us, but by the state as far as Board of Ed meetings. Something totally unrelated, regarding the budget. So I'm gonna go off topic from what we're doing right now. Regarding the pay to play. I know that Millstone doesn't like to do the pay to play. I know that there is potentially $100,000 on the line to do it. The high school charges that we go to, $50 for a club, and I just think it's something that you should consider, because there's always ways to go around to make it equitable for all families, such as the families that are free and reduced lunch maybe get passed and don't have to pay those fees. I think most of our people in town, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal considering how many thousands of dollars we all spend on recreational sports and travel teams and things like that. And if it helps us to keep an extra teacher or something, I think it's worth it. And then lastly, two things. First, I want to applaud all the high school students that have been getting up to speak tonight, because I know it's not easy. It's not easy in a room of people that you feel maybe are against you or don't agree with you to be able to get up and speak, and you all spoke very eloquently. And my last comment, I wanted to agree with Paula, Lennar, and a couple of other people that spoke. we definitely need to find a middle ground on this. And when it comes to the sexual abuse and sex trafficking curriculum in the middle school, I feel that there should be some sort of discussion relating to those in the schools with the teachers if it's not already there. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Janice?
Yes, this is Janice Redmond, 60 Apple Tree Road in Howell Township. I was at the last meeting and was an out-of-town person in the audience. I'm the teacher, I'm a parent, I'm a volunteer with the League of Women Voters in Willis County. Most of the people that are there, I know most of the ones that are from out of town. They are not paid by anyone. They volunteer time to drive, time to go to meetings. I'm volunteering money to get home time to listen, participate, because the League of Women Voters represents all of Monmouth County, every municipality. We research issues, we support issues, we will take stances for and against different issues. But the thing that I wanted to state in front is that we all pay, I pay taxes in Howell Township, but I also pay taxes to the state of New Jersey. So my taxes are also going to all municipalities in Monmouth County, not just to Howell Township. The people who spoke about who creates the standards and the curriculum, I thank the person from Rutgers for speaking. Those people are trained, diligent professionals with years of experience, working to mentor younger teachers so that they can implement the programs to as many children as possible for the safety of all of them. And the league is non-partisan. We try to go to things like this, to participate, to help tone down some of the emotion, because when your emotions are really high, you're not going to be listening to the person who has a different opinion or a different idea. So basically, I just want to thank everyone from both sides for coming. But the conversation, to get that common ground, you have to be able to listen. And I thank everyone for tonight.
You're finished? Okay, thank you for your comment. Olivia? Olivia, are you ready to speak? Olivia?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Olivia Santero. I live on 73 Tyson Lane in Freehold, New Jersey. I heard about this meeting from social media. I have invested interest in the LGBTQ youth. And I just want to say that everyone's concerned with sex education and worried that it's too advanced for the children, it's not appropriate. If you agree with New Jersey state standards, send your kids to a private school. This is a public school. You're responsible for, I apologize for teachers. We're responsible for teaching children of every ethnic background, every religion, every sexual orientation, every gender identity. If you do not agree with that, then you send your children to a private school where those conservative values would be upheld. This is a public school, this is a public school district, and that is what we are responsible for doing. Additionally, children know from a very young age whether they are straight and cisgender or if they are gay and transgender. There is no added sexual undertone that goes with one or the other. Unfortunately, transness and being homosexual has an added stigma to it that it is inherently sexual, which is just not the case. So if your kid is young, they old enough to understand that they're straight, they're old enough to know that they're gay. So the fact that we are not educating our children about basic sexual orientation and gender identity at an elementary and middle school level, if we do not do that, that is a huge disservice to our children. Thank you.
Andrea? Amrita? Amrita?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. Amrita Singh, 21 Burn Drive in Millstone Township. I just wanted to bring awareness to upcoming training within Millstone and provide some more information about what's up and coming. So, the Millstone Alliance to Prevent Substance Misuse is offering free programs with all adults working with youth in Millstone Township. The preamble is that we are all aware that our youth are experiencing stress and anxiety levels that have not yet been seen before. The Millstone Alliance is offering a valuable program to help adults support young people who are struggling. The Youth Mental Health First Aid, the YMHFA, teaches how to identify, understand, and respond to signs of mental health and substance use challenges among children and adolescents ages 6 to 18. This is a program for the general public. It's not a clinical program. It's with parents, adults who live and work with youth who are having trouble coping with everyday stress and issues. Participants will also receive updated resources that are available to youth and families beyond the county. The training covers common signs and symptoms of stressors, pressures, and challenges in this age group, including anxiety, depression, eating disorders, mood disorders, and self-harm. How to interact with children or a child or adolescent in crisis. How to intervene and de-escalate the situation. Expanded content on trauma, substance use, self-care, impact, social media, and bullying, and making connections on local resources. Who needs to know mental health first aid? All adults that support you, not just professionals. Inclusive of parents, guardians, teachers, coaches, youth leaders, after-school program facilitators, school staff, parent counselors, and parents. Having adults work with or hear about our youth. The overall program details are: it's a is an instructor-led in-person course held on Saturday, March 25th, 2023 from 9 to 4 p.m. Continental breakfast and lunch will be provided at the Millstone Community Center at 463 Stagecoach Road, Millstone Township. This program is free of charge and materials and resources are provided. If anyone is interested, please contact Owen Harvey, the Alliance Coordinator at millstonealliance@gmail.com. Please send your name, address, phone, and email information to reserve your spot. Funding is provided by the New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Thank you.
Anyone else on Zoom? Amy?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I just wanted to join in this evening. I'm a mom teacher, and as Megan said, we're okay to be here, but I'm here because
Name and address, please.
Thank you. I'm in Brooklyn, Acton, and Little Silver. And like all of
We need your house number, please.
all our kids and our
Your house number, please, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
We need your house number.
I'm 72.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we all really care, and I think that's really commendable to see tonight. Like all of you, I just want our kids and our teachers to have the tools they need to learn and grow together, so they can be prepared to successfully move through anything in an ever-changing world. And of course, the parents that are all speaking out tonight are partners in education, but none of us exist in isolation in our own communities. So first, again, as a mom and teacher, I just want to echo that while many, many smart and capable parents may be equipped to address some of these challenging topics reliably, others may not. And sadly, we've heard from people that are active in the field. Sadly, some are even part of the problems in prison facing. So this is public school. It exists for the common good, including health education. And when curriculum is mandated in the public school, it's designed by experts for all kids and families. And so by adopting it, it doesn't mean that parents is pushed out of having independent conversation. It doesn't mean that they can't opt out if they feel that this is not ready, their child is not developmentally ready. But again, it's about providing the best developmental information and as always, allowing parents to have that option. So I'm just asking as concerned mom and teacher to please choose a middle ground, please reinstate for in-the-school teaching the curriculum as it was designed. Allow this necessary information and learning standards to reach all of our kids, especially our most vulnerable. Please not eliminate any pieces, thereby limiting a cohesive education. I ask that you don't opt all kids out by keeping them from having these kinds of necessary pieces of information. Instead, parents will continue to be able to teach at home, and those who might be able to get it through by allowing parents to opt out and teach it for all kids. You are providing a reasonable solution. That is the best middle ground because it's best for all kids, all families that needs love and acceptance, and allows parents who disagree to be able to continue to opt out and teach at home. Thank you so much for your time.
Andrea, are you there? Protect trans kids / Andrea?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thank you. Hi, my name is Andrea. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I understand. My name is Andrea, my address is 210. I do not live in Millstone. I do however have experience with this curriculum because I am a peer middle school special education teacher in the county. I respectfully request that the board votes to reconsider this decision that was already the state mandated curriculum. And yes, it is a mandate. I heard some language earlier that it wasn't a mandate. It is absolutely called a mandate. I work in a school district that will give families the ability to opt out of the health education curriculum. I'm going to give you an example. Although I don't live in Millstone, I do want to share my experience in the school with school age group and these topics and this content. One day I did need to cover a health class because the teacher was absent and we were low on substitutes like many of our schools are. And a few students told me in the beginning that they needed a pass to go to the library because they did not stay in health class. And I actually had some of these students in for a different subject, but I don't normally have them for health. So I had no idea that they were on this list of the opt-out list. So I was very surprised. Okay, there's pass. At the beginning, they were not in health for one moment. From the hallway, I gave them a pass, right? So they never came into the class. But we're in the class and finding out, what the lesson was for the day. The teacher had left, and it was called lifestyle and diseases. So the students that missed that lesson, I don't know how many days before, this family knew the day I was with them, they were missing not just the content that day on HIV and AIDS, but also cardiovascular health and hypertension. And I'm looking at the material that day and saying to myself, what a missed opportunity that these students are literally not learning about cardiovascular health and blood pressure. Like I said already, I don't know how many days before they, were all, I don't know if they were there for weeks or days, only 2 days before the day, I have no idea. I don't know from what was right in front of me. And so I just want to give you that example. And that was really opt-out example. I was disappointed. I was sad because I was concerned for them. Not to mention that, of course, I also want them to learn the HIV and AIDS information as well. And we can all agree that we would want our students to learn other diseases such as cardiovascular health and blood pressure, which is what the students were missing while sitting in the library. And even with that said, I'm here in the room, if you're room right now, you'd still be welcome.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is up.
So good time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay, we'll return back to the
Yeah. Roxburgh, which is in Millstone, those of you who don't know, New Jersey.
I keep it short and sweet. I think that there is not anybody that lives in this town that does not want to see our fellow townsfolk succeed. I think we all want to see all of our children succeed and everybody succeed. If you spend your life wanting to see anybody fail purposely, I don't know what to say about that. You should really reconsider what you're doing with your life. But everybody in this town, I think, does care enough about our fellow townsfolk and our kids that we want to make sure that every single one of them does succeed. And I think the parents know better than anybody what is going to be best for their children, and it really makes me cringe when I hear the characterization that, well, we can't leave up to the children, that we can't leave it up to the parents, so the parents might do something bad to the children. I mean, I don't think that applies. Frankly, I just don't think that applies in our town. I think that we can rely on the parents in our town to always make the right choice in what's best for our kids. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
You're too fast.
I go too fast.
I'm very slow, sorry.
My name is Margarita Dentino. I live at 3 Crowville Lane in Howell, New Jersey. I have been a director for almost 20 years at Casa Freehold, which covers all of Monmouth and all of Ocean counties. And we have members here in Millstone. I also noticed that Millstone has approximately 17% population Latino, Spanish speaking. I don't know how many of them are represented here tonight. I do know too that we have a countywide group of LGBTQ that welcomes everybody, all ages, as a safe space. And people need to be above all safe. I'm a mother, a grandmother, now a great grandmother, and I know my own personal education was pretty much sorely lacking. Because my own mother, when she got married, she asked the minister to give her something. He gave her a book of poetry, and that's about how things were, a generation ago for me. And now we have this amazing opportunity to actually know what's happening. Sure, our parents, our families love us, they do, but they don't have this education, these courses that have been put together to really help our families, to help our children, to help all of us. So, if my child, one of my grandsons is high-level autistic, and he says, Grandma, how do people reproduce? If I could have a bunch of very skilled people helping me to answer that question, and that's great. That's not against me. It's not against my family. So accept this blessing, Millstone, please.
Good evening. My name is Ron Schlegel. I live at 14 Tibbetts Hill Drive in Millstone. I have to say that it's unbelievable to hear the characteristics of, or the characterization of parents in Millstone Township from some of the speeches that we heard today. And it's amazing that, again, that some younger people are telling us we don't know how to parent. I mean, that's shocking because, again, when you're that young, I don't think you have the ability to tell us how to parent, okay? And I think that we all understand what that gentleman said. I agree with him 100%. We all want our children to be successful. We put our whole lives into it. And the problem is that if you indoctrinate children at a young age with some of these things that are going on today, and without parental understanding and without the parents being part of that, it doesn't work, okay? If you want to opt out, why don't you have opt-in, all right?
Yes.
Why don't you have, they go through their parents first. Their parents allow them to take these classes and have them sign whatever. But again, they opt into the class if they want. Okay? I think there are other ways to do this. And I don't fault anybody. I don't fault anybody for whatever they want. But I know what's best for my child. And I'm going to make sure that my child is taken care of. Our children come here, and they expect to get reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's the thing. And if we look at what the scores are today, to drive those as high as possible, that's where our children will really be successful in the future. That's what we need. That's the kind of education our children need. Okay? And as somebody said here about we pay taxes, and if we don't like it, then we should take our kids and go to other schools if we want some other education. Well, hopefully that is coming with school choice, where we take our kids. Where they're more aligned with the things that we want for our children. And that's a big thing you guys got to think about, because when the money moves, this beautiful school that I paid for, is going to be, who knows what's going to happen here. But I ask you to please, the parents here know their children. They have said what they want. We have said what we want. Okay? Listen to us as parents. We live here. We pay the taxes here. That thing is crazy. That people can come here from other towns. And you know what? You know why they put that in place. They put that in place so that, because again, they can let anyone come here and this, they come here and they say things, okay? So the parents know best.
Hi, my name is Joan Ryan. I live at 178 Stillhouse Road in Millstone. You're right. Not all kids are safe at home, but a lot of kids are not safe in school. There's a 14-year-old girl that committed suicide because it was not safe in school. So you can talk about parents, absolutely right. I'm not an expert in sex ed. I am an expert on my child, absolutely. And I don't think a teacher is going to be more of an expert than I am. I really don't feel that. I looked up what it takes to be an expert in this. I looked up the Planned Parenthood, who is part of this, Raise, I think it's Raise Junior, which they recommend second graders learning all this stuff. They do. The fact is, they're the experts, right? It takes, I think I read, it takes 6 hours to get training into being a sex expert in our schools. Do you think 6 hours is enough to learn? Absolutely not. All I'm saying is we all care about our kids. We know our children. It does not belong in the school. Absolutely not. Have your clubs, have your things, but you can't even stop bullying. And you want to stop this? It has not been stopped bullying. Correct me if I'm wrong. And by the way, mask mandates were ridiculous. And I understand recommending that, and actually recommending this, and we both know it's proven wrong. Enough said.
Caitlin Pastigi, 9 Van Nuys Drive here in Millstone. I'm coming at this with a different perspective than probably a lot of you in this room. I graduated from this school system, K through 8, 9 through 12 at Allentown, and as of this next September, I will have a student in this school system. I want you to think back to when you were 12 and 13 years old. Did you want to listen to your parents? Did you want to talk to your parents about these topics? No. You didn't. You went and you talked to your friends. And yes, you didn't want to hear from your teacher, but you had to sit there and listen to it. Your teacher gave you an open-minded viewpoint of what was happening. I talked to my son about his body, about what's going on. He started asking questions at 3 years old, and we had those conversations. So yes, your kid is going to be asking questions at 5 years old, at 6 years old, and they're going to get it from their friends or the internet. I would much rather my child get it from a teacher who is educated. And I can tell you from my experience, I didn't want to hear it from my parents. My parents were involved. I had a great relationship with my parents. My father sat on this Board of Education for 10 years. His name is on this building. But I still didn't always want to listen to him. And I want my kid to have another place to go to besides just me if they decide that they need that safe space. And I think we need to have this education in there for our students, and we can have an opt-out. Please opt your child out if you don't want them to take part in this. But it is important, and statistics have shown that having this education for our students is important.
Hello, Chris Farrow, 91 Agnes. I was also a student here my whole life. I was born in Millstone, first grade all the way to high school. I just don't understand, why are we not talking about mental health? And why, like I'm sitting here and this is the first meeting, I don't know all the details, but why are we not teaching kids about mindfulness and depression and kindness and all of that? That's what prevents suicide. That's what, I know a lot of people who deal with all of this stuff. One of my closest best friends growing up was transgender, and I love her, but even she would think this is a mental health issue. If suicide is a huge issue, teach mental health. Teach kids how to think about their thoughts and how to approach their parents. And if you don't want to listen to your parents, that's a knock to the parents, not the kids. The parents have to be able to say, this is, you have to teach your girls what consent is, and boys how to treat the girls in consent, and everything in between. If my teacher in 8th grade said, Chris, do this, do that, I wouldn't have listened. So my mom and my dad to teach me, and they did. And I think that I turned out okay. And I think everybody else will too. But if it's a mental health issue, it's a mental health issue. And I think that's what's important. And why not make it opt-in? If the majority of parents don't want it, make it opt-in, but make the resources available to everybody. Send a packet of home with the kids on the first day of school every year. If you need the resources, if you don't know how to educate your kids, do this. And I think that solves your problem there.
Yes.
Okay, two. They have people on Zoom, Ashley. Zoom? Yes, you can't go yet.
I just have one real quick. You spoke already. Okay, but again, speak then, okay?
Hi, Kristen Rodriguez, 1 Mikala Lane, Millstone. Daughter of a veteran, granddaughter of a veteran, great-granddaughter of a veteran, great-great-granddaughter of a veteran. So I understand the desire for freedom, for parents' rights, and I'm passionate about that. I'm also passionate about making sure that we listen to each other. And I've listened to all of the things that were said here tonight, and I've learned some things, and I've had my thoughts challenged on some things. I want to thank the students that got up today that spoke. It's hard to speak in front of a crowd. It's hard to speak in front of a crowd that you think may not agree with you, or that you think might look at you as something different. I have a couple of questions about our learning at home plan that we have here in Millstone. When we send the information home, I'd like to understand as a parent, how are we making sure that these students are learning? Do we have some sort of assessment plan in place? Do we have some sort of a follow-up to ensure that children have learned the material that the state is requiring that they learn, unless their parents have chosen to opt them out? I'm wondering how we're handling that, sending information home. I'm concerned that we've removed some things such as consent, such as violence in dating relationships, sexual violence, treating others with tolerance and kindness in terms of sexual and gender identity. I'm not sure why those things were removed, particularly with regards to consent and violence. So that would be my other thought on that. I want to thank the people that have come to speak tonight. It was good to hear you. I'm thankful that law enforcement was here. It was a little scary as you all were in the executive session out here. I wasn't involved in any of it, but I overheard a lot of people calling other people names, things like perverts, pervert parent. It was intense and it was scary, and I didn't enjoy it. And so I hope that if we have another meeting where passions get high and people get concerned, and we're all people, we all have tempers, we all have feelings, that law enforcement will be present out there, because it was a little concerning. So thank you, and I hope everybody has a good
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Rodriguez. I live at 14 Cranberry Brook Drive. I don't know if I can make a motion for this side of the podium, but I would ask that the secretary figures out a way to, if it's possible, prioritize the meetings in a fashion that makes the most sense for the Millstone residents and the students of the school. Just my suggestion would be to start with the township residents first for the 3 minutes open meeting or open discussion. The township educators, Zoom calls, so from the Zoom calls, residents in the township on those Zoom calls, and then all others should have a chance to speak. So hopefully that can be done. And I'd also like to ask the board, because this is what this really sounds like to me, as I stand in the middle of all this, that the board reviews and confirms their approach on how to deal with student bullying. I would say that 2/3, if not all of what we're discussing here, could be dealt with through forms of bullying or stopping the bullying. And it doesn't have to be because you're waking up in a different mood or a different gender or whatever the case is. I think the board should spend time on their approach to make sure that the students are not being bullied, because it can come in any form, and that type of oppression affects all our kids. It affected us, it affected everybody. So I just want to bring that to attention and wish everybody the best, and good night.
Who did not speak, who'd like to have an opportunity to speak?
Hey, you know what? I'll
There are
say
two
something.
on Zoom.
Yeah, I'll say
Okay.
something.
One more, then we have the 2 on Zoom.
Ken Christensen, Wagner Farm Lane, Millstone. I didn't come prepared at all, didn't write anything down, just listening to what's going on.
Can you just give me your house number?
Was it 10?
10.
Yeah, I heard people not even from here making house numbers up. I don't know, maybe I should have did the same. First Board of Education meeting in my entire life. Okay, been a homeowner since I'm 22 years old, I'm 38 now. Okay, unbelievable that, I'm more confused than anything. I thought I was going to a Millstone Township Board of Education meeting. Half the room ain't even from here. I mean, I don't know if this is the way it always goes or what, different laws are, but it's my house, it's my taxes, it's my kids, okay? I pay for all of it at the end of the day. I'm going to teach my kids the way I want to teach my kids. Anything that I want to teach kids in school, it should be how people reproduce, and that's it. If I want to teach about anything else or what their sexual preferences are, okay, my brother-in-law is gay, I have family members that are gay. At the end of the day, we teach that, okay? I don't want no one talking to my 5-year-old or anybody else about things that I should be talking about, okay? Just like there's other things that we should be teaching at home, not only this. And you guys got to draw a line and make sure that we teach all this at home. and we're gonna stick together as a community and fight for it. And you guys should make sure that, you know, people, you should really be walking through a metal detector out front for security, for one, okay? And for two, make sure that if you're not from this town, you don't belong here. That's the way it goes.
It's on film. Nancy, are you ready to speak? Nancy? Nancy? Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi, my name is Nancy Joyce. I live at 74 Adams Road in Millstone. I've been listening to everyone for nearly about 2 hours now. I touch on two subjects that I'll start with the most important one to me. Religion. I have been raised as a Christian. There was one comment that was being made that we use religion to teach hate. Anytime that I would like to present my religion, I can summarize it in 1 sentence. That Christianity is love. I teach that to my kids on a daily basis. I teach them respect and acceptance on a daily basis. It's a very reoccurring conversation in my household, and I do believe in my conversation with them. I can summarize my whole point about this conversation that has been going on by decades. I feel like most of the arguments we need is you feel like parents are not fit enough to do the job. Maybe even at workshops. I'll target the parents. I have no problem with what we need. Is that conversation available? I just don't want anyone to be reflective about subjects that are not comfortable with speaking in an adult and a child. I have spoken to my kids about other people's activities. I have told them a lot of things that might not be. I think like other conservative students like myself. But this is something that kids can understand at a certain age. I just don't want anyone to speak to my kids. I am more than willing and more than open to hear it myself. I do have someone that had a child in the district that had enforced the new curriculum that was passed out by the Jersey State, and he has opted her child out. Her child was subjected to bullying. He was in 7th grade when that happened, and to cut it short and be very sad about it, he was bullied by other boys in his grade that his parents didn't think that he was man enough to listen to what they were listening to in health class. If we're going to talk about fairness, accepting, bullying, it's helpful to step to the other side to see what the kids that would be opted out would be subjected to. If suicide is a main issue, and I don't agree that it's not, you should focus on cyberbullying, any of that stuff. That could be a bigger topic better than gender identity. I can't trust my first graders to decide independently, let alone decide if she's really a girl or she might be a boy.
Thank you, Nancy. Your time is up. Thank you for your comments. We're approaching our 90 minutes of public comment section. We will finish with the last person on the Zoom, and then Mrs. Dillon, and that'll be the end.
Lexi, on Zoom, you're up.
Hi, my name. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Lexi. I live in 54 Jackson, New Jersey. I'm also a teacher. I believe that a child wholeheartedly needs 3 things. They need to feel needed, they need to feel loved, they need to feel safe. And if I'm, as an educator, and not in a position where I may be jeopardizing those things for a child, I do not feel like I'm doing the job to the best of my ability. There are some students where the only time in their day that they feel loved is at school, and that has nothing to do with the name of the town. No town is exempt from that. For some
that is the only place where they can express to an adult. If a child were to find an adult at school about their sexuality, and that teacher is responsible for relaying that information to a parent, and that child is known and is beaten or abused for the choices they make about their sexuality, what then? Then you're in a completely different situation. You may know your child best, but the parent next door may not be as accepting or understanding. I felt that it was just necessary to say this. It seems absurd that we're in 2023 and we're taking such a drastic step in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Am I good to go? Ashley Dillon, 10 Fitzpatrick Run, Millstone. I just have one question. Is anyone on this board, superintendent, secretary, board of ed member, can anyone on this board in this room pull up the picture of a vagina right now and show it to that 9-year-old boy right there? I just want to ask you that one question. And I can guarantee you that nobody would do it because it would be child endangerment. It's disgusting. We don't want it in our schools. And that's all I have to say. I'm going home. I'm sorry. I'm sure the rest of the meeting will be great, but I have children.
All right, at this time, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting. Thank you for all attending, and we'll